Okay, guys, we're back. This is going to be talking about drift fishing and grass flats, hot summer months. This is part one. We got out there pretty early. This is probably about 3 years ago. I want to say June of 2022 was when this was done. So we got out there pretty early. This is on a weekday. The wind wasn't blowing. It was a calm day, but it was already hot. You're talking, it was already like almost 90 degrees when the sun was coming up. 87, 88, right there somewhere. And once that sun came up, it got up into the upper 90s, probably around 98, just below 100. So as you know, most of you know, that the hot summer months are very challenging down here to catch reds in the flats, catch fish out there. And that's just, the reality that we have to deal with. If they are there, they're going to be hiding in the grass, trying to stay cool, the thick grass areas, or they'll be on the drop-offs or down in the channel, in a little bit deeper water. But I'm a hard, how should I say, I'm hard-headed, man. I like fishing the grass flats even if I don't catch anything, because I like going out there, learning more about the area, developing my skill set, and just seeing what I can catch and what I can't do on days like this. And this is a perfect example right here. Days when it's hot and you don't catch a lot of good quality fish. We catch fish, but we don't catch anything that's worth keeping. So we got out there pretty early. As you can see, the sun's coming up. I want to say it's around 7 a.m. It's a weekday. There's not that many people. I wish... This is really part two, because I wish I would have had part one. I didn't videotape the first time I took Daniel out. This is the second trip that I took him out on that same month. And the first trip we did better. We did really good. I just didn't videotape it. Well, I did. I did good. He did about the same, man. But I gave him some of the fish that I caught. But it was hot too. It was hot, and what was interesting about that day, we had more wind blowing. Well, in the morning we didn't. It was still just like this was, and we went to Bird Island, went right behind Bird Island, and of course there was no wind. So the boat was just inching along with the current, barely moving. He caught undersized trout out there. I didn't catch anything. We fished that day. We fished about the same amount of hours, about 4 or 5 hours, and I didn't catch anything until we were coming back. We had fished Bird Island, behind Bird Island, and then I think we went to Green Island and we fished Green Island, and then a storm blew in. A storm was coming from the north, was coming out of the north, a rainstorm, heavy rainstorm. You could see it. It was already blackening up the horizon there towards Port Mansfield, and it was coming towards us. I was looking for the photos. He took pictures of the fish that I caught, but I couldn't find them. I don't know what happened to those. But in some of my previous videos, you'll see there's some still shots of the back of my boat with my 3 rods, and you can see that it's green water to murky brown water, and then if you look on the backdrop, it's like dark blue to black because that heavy rainstorm's coming in. That was the day that I was out there with him, with Daniel. And anyway, what I wanted to say was we fished that morning, caught small trout. See something lit right there, a little trout lighting right there, but nothing worth keeping. And then he needed to go in, like, he had to go back. So on the way back, I told him, hey, let's just stop off and let's drift right here, one drift behind Bird Island. I mean, right behind Bird Island. You're talking, I was right up against it. I was like maybe 20, 30 feet from the shoreline, but on the backside of it. Because the wind had turned from the south and was coming out of the north because of that rainstorm that was coming. and it turned up the water, and that we already had waves going because the wind was blowing pretty good. So you're talking 1.5 foot swells. So the boat was rocking pretty good, and the water was all turned up there. And usually I like the clear water, you know what I mean? So I lined up right there on the north end, and of course it drifted through pretty quick because the wind was blowing pretty good. So we went by the island pretty fast. But the beautiful thing was right there in a row. 1, 2, 3, 3 reds. I caught a 25, I caught a 23, and I caught a 22-inch red. Right in a row. One cast, boom, 25. As soon as I threw it in on the second cast, boom, 23-inch red. And as I reeled that one in, and I did the last third cast, boom, the 22-inch red. 1, 2, 3. Caught my limit right there in a row. So this is the second trip. He was wanting to hopefully capitalize on something like what I did that last trip. So that's why I'm taking him out again. This is the second time. I'm just trying to give you the backdrop to this video. I wish I would have recorded the first one, but I didn't. I didn't record the first one. And since then, I always take the camera on the boat all the time now. If I take the boat out, the camera's on. Everything is recorded. You know, however the day falls, that's however the day falls. But the one time I didn't take it out, it was really beautiful that I caught those 3 reds right in a row at the end of the drift when we're heading back in. And so Daniel called me up. He wanted to go back out, and he wants to try his luck to see if he could catch something worth keeping this time, because the last time it was the same thing. He just caught fish, but he didn't catch anything worth keeping. And it's going to be the same thing here again. We're going to catch fish, but we don't catch anything worth keeping because it's hot and we're fishing the flats. But the reason why I'm covering this video is because we do go to a place that I haven't talked about before that is a good place. It just didn't happen to be good that day that we were out there, but a place that I used to fish all the time at night back in the day when I used to fish on my Dargo boat, and that's the Gaswell Flats area. We will do a drift through Gaswell Flats so you can kind of see that area to see what it looks like. And that used to be a really good spot back in the day at night. Well, I'm sure it was good in the daytime, but I used to fish it at night because like I've told you guys in the past, years past, I used to work in the nursery landscape industry. I was outside all the time in the sun, in the heat, all day long, whether it was in the nursery or out doing landscaping. I used to do a lot of cactus work, palm work, a lot of palm trees. Used to plant a lot of palm trees, big palms and stuff. So I used to work out in the sun. So when I'd go fishing, I would like to put in, when I used to take my Dargo boat out, I always like putting in about, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun starts going down. I get over there, I start heading down to Roy City around 3 because I'd have to stop off, get all my munchies and everything that I'm going to need to sustain me overnight. And then once we get over there, I get in there and I put in. And a lot of times it was with my brother back in the day. I used to fish with my brother, but then it was just me out there fishing it. But we used to go at night because it was just you've been out in the sun all day long. So you you like to cool off a little bit. And we always did good, man. It was good fishing because I'd fish overnight. I'd go out late in the afternoon, fish at night, and then come back. I would drift coming back to Arroyo City because in the summer we'd go south to 3 islands and you drift back and you just drift your way back. And then you come in around between 10 and 12, man. No later than 1. Always did well. And Gaswell Flats was a really good area. I used to love parking it out there. And I used to catch a lot of big reds and a lot of big drum coming across Gaswell Flats. And I used to use either cut mullet, finger mullet, or cut up skipjack. was really good too. Especially, I used to catch nice trout out there too. You know, they weren't real big, but they were nice. You're talking between 20 and 24. You know, on cut up skipjack. But here we're gonna go to two places in this video. We're gonna go to Rattlesnake Bay, and then we're gonna go to Gaswell Flats, and then we're gonna come back in. We're only gonna fish two spots, and everything we catch is undersized. We catch undersized trout, undersized red, but nothing that's a keeper. And like I said, I'm a flats guy. When it's hot, I'm just telling you, I know I've been fishing for many years. The channel along the edges, that's the place if you want to catch bigger fish. But I'm a diehard flats guy, so I'm gonna go to the flats and I'm gonna just try it. And it develops my skill set. It makes me see what it's like out there when it's hot like this, what's moving, what's not moving, and you know, and it broadens my knowledge. So anywhere here that we're riding up and down this channel, especially on the port side there, would be a good place to be probably fishing, because the water's deep, it's cool. Fish are probably stacked in there right now because the sun's coming up and it's going to get hot real fast. And then off any of those spoil dump islands, the drop offs on those along the channel's edge will be good, because you're going to see as we head out we're going to go to the southern end of Rattlesnake Bay and enter that, and then we're going to come back up to Rattlesnake Island, and we're going to drift fish around Rattlesnake Island there. But you're going to see there's already some people parked off the drop offs and fishing the drop offs off of the channels there. I'm sure they're catching trout. That's what they're targeting, you know, speckled trout. But look at a beautiful morning. Seize the day. Beautiful morning. That's Bird Island right in front of us. But we're not going to go to Bird Island today. We're going to go to Rattlesnake Bay, and we're going to go to Gaswell Flats. Daniel wants to see if he can get some redemption. See if he can hit on those reds like I did. He does hook one, but he loses it. He doesn't get it in. And he hooks that one in Rattlesnake Bay, but it gets off before he could get it to the boat. So it was a decent red, but he doesn't get it to the boat. You know, so, and he's got his own rigs there that he's using. So whatever his rig is, like I say, there's no wrong way to fish. Everybody has their own preference. Those two poles that you see that are in front of me, those are his fishing poles, and they're rigged up the way he likes to fish. So, like I say, there's no wrong way to fish, guys. Everybody has their preference. What works for them, that's what you use, and that's what you do. Well, look at it. It's beautiful, man. Just enjoying the ride. And it's a long ride because we go all the way to the south end. Almost all the way down, basically almost all the way down the 3 islands. And then we cut in. So it's a good little ride out there. We're in the flats right now, and to the starboard side is going to be the channel and also Rattlesnake Bay, the northern end of Rattlesnake Bay. But we're out in the grass flats that are south of Bird Island. That's where I'm at. You'll see a channel marker coming up here in a little bit. And you'll see I'm way far to the left side of it. So I'm out in the flats, not in the actual channel yet. Where we're at with Rusty, we can talk about Rusty a little bit. Rusty's a little bit more timid than Cassie. How should I say? He's not a go-getter like Cassie was. Cassie's just, you know, she takes right to anything pretty quick. Rusty is a little bit more, like I say, timid. He has to kind of grow into it. So we're working on growing him into it. I'm planning on taking him out next week. Maybe going and doing some fishing down there at Boca Chica Beach. I hadn't been down there in since 2013 was the last time I was at Boca Chica Beach. And I think the only thing down there for SpaceX at the time, when the last time I was down there, was just that trailer house with the fence around it. But I hear now that it's completely got like a little city there at Starbase, and then down closer to the beach, it's got a whole launching pad and everything there. So I've seen it on TV, but I haven't actually seen it physically been down there. I've been monitoring the closures. I don't know. We may not be able to, because I think they got a rocket down there or something, and they're working on getting it launched. They delayed the launch because something happened. So I think they're going to launch another one of those, the bigger rocket. I forget what they call that one, the Starship one. But I'm looking at breaking Rusty into something like that to get him more used to it. First on land, then once we get the boat going again and he's out in the boat, because I don't want him to get skittish to where he's scared and throw too much at him at one time. He processes it a little bit different than Cassie did, you know. So we're bringing him along. He's coming along. And I'll either take him to Boca Chica Beach. If that doesn't work out, maybe Bahia Grande, or maybe even at the island down there at Andy Boy, because there's a big long beach there too, all the way up to the jetties. So there's plenty of places to fish, and for him to get used to the sounds of the water and the smells and stuff. And even on the bay side, if you go north, you can probably get back in there and do a little wade fishing out there in the sand flats too. So I may do that a little bit with him also. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But here we are. We're still in the grass flats, heading south to 3 Islands, and right before we get to 3 Islands, we're going to take that last cut into Rattlesnake Bay, and we're going to go into Rattlesnake Bay is what we're going to do. And then we're going to go up to Rattlesnake Island, and we're going to drift right around Rattlesnake Island, just a little east of Rattlesnake Island. So you can see the channel marker coming up right there. Then you're going to see some boats. You can see these guys already have the right idea. So it's in the middle of the summer. I'm sure they're fishing for trout, and that's what they're doing. They're tied off here. We haven't passed them, right? I don't think so. I think they're coming up. So we're in the channel now. And you're going to see 2 boats on the starboard side here tied off, and they're fishing the drop off where the flats drop off into the channel. So they got the right idea. Here's the first boat coming up. You see him right here on the starboard side. Now he's facing towards us right there. There's one sitting right there, and then look, there's the second boat. You see the second boat, and that's what these guys are doing. So this is always a good plan. When it's hot in the summer months, you're going to find them in that little bit deeper water is where you're going to find them at. But like I say, I'm a diehard flats guy, so I'm hard-headed. I'm going to go try to make something happen, you know. And sometimes it does, and then of course, like this time, yeah, we catch fish, but we don't catch anything worth keeping. They're all small. But it gives me more knowledge of the area and develops my skill set more. But if I was looking, that's where I would be looking, guys. At this time of year, when it's hot, that's how I'd be fishing too. I'd be fishing the drop-offs. So now we're going to turn in here right before we get to 3 Islands. We're turning into South Rattlesnake Bay. And actually, right here, I see some movement. We should have stopped right in here, in between these 2 spoil drops. And we should have fished around this. But I kept going. because I wanted to go to deeper water, because the water gets shallow right here. The water is only like 18 to about 18 inches once you get up close to these islands and around there. I wanted to go to about that 2 to 3 feet, 4 feet water in Rattlesnake Bay, and you're going to find that up towards the north end of Rattlesnake Island is where it's deeper, on the northern end side. And the reason why I didn't go in at the north is like I've said before, I don't like riding through because I don't want to scare up any fish that are in there. So I'm going to stay on the outside and come in behind them, and I'm going to drift back into them. That's the way I like drift fishing. If there is any fish, that's going to be worth catching. So that's just the standard operating protocol, that the way I usually fish. I try not to disturb the area that I'm going to fish. I like to go out and around it and then come in behind it and drift into it. And here we are. So we're in Rattlesnake Bay now. We're on the south end. That is Hobnail Island off to the left, and these are the spoil drops on the right that separate Rattlesnake Island from the intercoastal. And then we're going to shoot north to Rattlesnake Island. And we're going to stop there. Once we get parallel with the Rattlesnake Island, that's where we're going to stop and start drift fishing. And Daniel wants to try to get some redemption here. See if he can make something happen. Which, like I say, he does get one, but he doesn't. He loses it. He doesn't capitalize on it. Doesn't get it in. So he does catch one that would be worth keeping, but it gets off before it gets to the boat. You'll see it here in just a little bit. And you know, another thing too, as we were just talking, when a lot of reason why I fish by myself is because, like, when you take somebody out, a lot of times if the fish aren't biting or the bite slows, they're ready to come back, and they want to come back in, and they don't want to stay out there any longer, and it just messes up your whole fishing trip, you know. So generally that's why I'm usually by myself, because this is a perfect example here. The fish bite was slow. We were catching no keepers, but we were catching, but nothing that was worth keeping. But eventually he got tired of it and he just wanted to come back. We fished for about 4, maybe 5 hours. We were back by about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I want to say. So that was about 7 we put in the morning. So here we are. This is Rattlesnake Bay, in front of Rattlesnake Island. You see the Sarah right over there, way off in the distance? That's the Sarah yacht that's staked out there. And see, he's got something here, but he doesn't get it in. It gets away. He loses it right here. I guess he gets slack in his line and it gets off. You'll see. Cassie tried to help him out, but it didn't happen. So I'm getting the net, getting ready. Cassie barking it up there. My little barking puppy. I tell you guys, you don't know how much I miss her, man. She was with me for a long time, and she is sorely missed. Never be another Cassie. See, look, look here. I'm getting ready, and then look right here. He loses it. Right here, look, watch. You can see where it gets slack right there. He lost it. That's it. It got off. I was his one chance right there. It's one thing about circle hooks when you're using just a I think he's using circle hook. He's using a regular hook. So that's one thing about it. You got to make sure you keep that line super tight, because any slack in that line, not like a treble hook, because a treble hook will sometimes double hook in the mouth of a fish. You just got to make sure you keep it tight. So here's first of the small reds. So that's what I catch. That's all I catch all day long, are small reds. I really wouldn't call them rat reds, because they're a little bit bigger than rat reds. I don't know what you call those, but they're not big enough to keep. They're like, what are they? It's like 17 inches, 18 inches long. Oh, I let Cassie give him a lick, and we'll put him back in so that guy can get bigger. And then I catch some micro trout, you know, is what I catch. And that's all he catches too, the rest of the day. They're not all in the video. We only put a few in there. I only put a few in there. I edited a lot out because it'd be a lot longer. Because we were out there for, I think, like 4 or 5 hours. And I edited it down to about just under an hour. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful red. It's going to be a beautiful fish one of these days. Give it a few more years. That'd be a nice red to catch. So now he wants to try my my Back Bay Thunder rig. He wants to try that out. So I told him there's one in the glove box that he can have. And try it out. Since he saw me catch that red on it. And actually the one I have there, I don't think that's a, well, it might be the Back Bay Thunder. It doesn't look like it. It looks like that bomber style. But well, that's what he's peeling out. He's gonna change his rig to that. Give it a try. But flats fishing in the summer, it's tough down here on the lower Laguna Madre. The best time, if you're gonna fish the flats, I'm telling you, is at night or early in the morning before the sun comes up. Get out there about 2 in the morning. It's kind of hard for me because it's not really hard for me as in getting up because I work nights. That's not the problem. The problem is the boat ramp doesn't open until 6 a.m. It's closed. So I can't get out there any earlier than 6. That's why you'd have to put in the night before and you just stay out all night, you know. And you drift it. Move around just like you do in the daytime. It's the same thing. But you're just doing it at night, you know. Or you can anchor out and fish on the bottom. Once we get the boat back in, we'll do some nighttime fishing videos where we're drifting to show you how it's done. I'll show you what we catch. You know, Rusty's going to be at the helm. So he's going to rig it up. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to cast it out again. Give it another try. But as you can see, we're moving a little bit. But you notice I don't have the drift sock out. So we're not really moving that much. The wind hasn't really picked up that much. Not enough to put a drift sock out. So it's still fairly calm. I'm trying to fish a little bit deeper water in Rattlesnake Bay where I would think that the reds would be hanging instead of in that shallow water, which you're talking it's 2 to 3 feet there. You got probably areas that have potholes up to 4 feet in that area of Rattlesnake Bay. But that's what we're trying. So here we are a little bit further down in Rattlesnake Bay. I'm trying it out. I think he catches another one. See the moss. Oh, actually, you know what, guys? I take that back. This is Gaswell Flats. That's where this is. So we are just south of 3 Islands. We're in Gaswell Flats. That's where we're at here. If you look off the point of the boat there on the starboard side, that's Cullen's house, way out there in the distance. So what does he catch here? He's got a little red. A little red or a little trout. Let's see what he's got. A little red. Off that Back Bay Thunder rig. I switched it up. I went to I took the Back Bay Thunder off and I just did a treble hook with a split shot on it and I was free floating it. That's what I started doing. And I started catching trout, little micro trout. letting it go to the bottom, and just, you know, do a couple of tugs, reel it slack, couple of tugs, reel it slack until they hit it, you know. So I try it, but then I switch up. Because if I remember right, you'll see when I catch this trout, I'm not using the back base under. I'm just free floating it out there with the split shot. That's what I'm doing. So Daniel got him a red there. Cassie's pacing. She wants some action. She's like, where's all the action at? So you're going to put it down here so I can lick it? That's what she's waiting on. So I can lick it for luck before you put it back in. So that's the same thing. That's like another 17, 18 inch red. Not big enough to keep. So on them 100-degree days, that's it. You got to work it hard, man. You know, I'm just like any other fisherman. You know, if I was by myself, I would have stayed out there longer and fished more. But like I say, ultimately, after this, he wanted to come back. You know, we catch like one or two more, and then he wants to come back in. So I got to bring him back in. But I would have stayed longer and worked on it. Tried different areas in the flats. But I already know where they're at. They're on the drop-offs. But like I said, I'm a diehard flats guy. I'm gonna live and die out in the flats. I mean, you know. And actually, really, we probably should have went even further south towards the island, where the water is deeper back there in the flats, where it's a lot deeper than it is here. And we probably could have done better. You know, that's just, you know, hindsight when I'm looking at the video and I'm thinking about it. But I hadn't been to Gaswell Flats in a long time. It's just something I didn't really fish anymore, because like I said, I usually catch everything I want right at Bird Island, Green Island, and Rattlesnake Bay. But I figured, what the heck, let's go out here and let's give it a try. Let's see what it looks like. And I like the area. I like the way the grass was. I like the way the water is. Everything. It's not, there wasn't a lot of clarity, but as you can see, there is some type of clarity there. And it's more mossy than it is turtle grass. Usually I fish a lot of the turtle grass is what I fish. So he's got another one there, it looks like. I don't know, remember if this is a red or a trout. Let's see what he's got. Another one on that back base under. Cassie barking it up, look at that. My beautiful puppy, guys. And she is sorely missed. She's always here waiting for me when I come home. And she's not here anymore. Yeah, look at that. Cassie, she wants that red. Like I told you, Cassie doesn't know anything about size limits. All she knows is redfish taste good and redfish feel real good in her little tummy. That's all she knows. She doesn't know anything about fish regulations or anything like that. You know, she just knows she loves redfish and it feels real good in her little tummy. Yeah. She's gonna lick it for him. He's trying to measure it, but I can tell you right now it's already too small. It's about another 16, 17 inch redfish. Not big enough to keep. Maybe 18. Oh, there he goes. So it was an undersized kind of day out there that day. And like I said, this is about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago. 3 in the summertime. June of 2022. But this is the second trip that I took him on. I didn't record the first trip where I caught all the reds. But since then, I've always had the camera on the boat. I record everything now. So see how the water turned to nice, that trout green color? Catch a lot of trout out here too. So look at this little speck. This is a beautiful little speck. So as you can see, I just got a split shot. You see it way up on the line? That's all I have, and I'm free floating that shrimp out there. Look at that spots. Look at the bronze. That's a beautiful little speck. Look at all the spots on the tail. That's one healthy little speck right there. Gotta put him back in, let him get bigger. A few years, it'll be a nice trout to catch. Cassie give him a lick and put him back in. But yeah, that's all we caught that day. Hot June summer day. Everything was undersized. Undersized red, undersized trouts. He had that one that would have been a keeper, but it got off. And like I said, you know, he's ready to come back, so we had to cut it off, and I had to bring him back in because he was done. He was ready to go back in. And like I said, that's why I don't usually like taking anybody with me because you get out there, I'm there to fish, man, and I usually go as far as I can. And sometimes, most of the time, I catch them pretty quick. Other times, yeah, there's times that it's going to take longer, and you're going to have to stay longer and go to different areas. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So here we are heading back in. This is we just came out of Gaswell Flats. We're south of 3 Islands. That's 3 Islands that we're coming up on. The houses there that are along the intercoastal and 3 Islands. To the left there is Collins Bay. You go into Collins Bay and Collins House. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. We're further than that. That's Duncan's old house. So we're already past 3 Islands. So that's Duncan's old house. We're on the north end of 3 Islands. That there to the left is Rattlesnake Bay, southern end. So we just passed Duncan's old house. Heading back to Bird Island and then to the Y and heading back in. But you can see how the water's already turned up, the wind's already picked up, the wind started blowing. And there's somebody right there, see him heading down to 3 Islands. But yeah, I would have stayed out a little bit longer. But like I said, I had a guest on the boat, and he was already ready to come back in. So I have to accommodate him. Now look how beautiful the water looks. Usually it's brown in the channel, you know, in the arroyo. Look at it. It's got that nice green color. So I bet you if you tried up and down the side of the bank there on either side, you would probably do pretty well, man. Catch trout. I bet you probably catch some drum, some reds too. For some reason, the water was nice and green in there, but usually it's a brown color because it's always churned up, you know. But takeaways, you know, fishing's a matter of preference, man. We could have done better if we would have fished the drop-offs. I just know that for a fact. We would have done better. But like I said, I'm a diehard flats guy. I like fishing the grass flats, so I'm going to head out to the flats. Daniel wanted to get some redemption because this is the second time I took him out. I caught those 3 nice reds the last time on the last drift through before we were coming back in, when he wanted to come back in. So he wanted to see if he could capitalize and make the same catch that we did, but it didn't work out. All we caught were nothing but small reds and small trouts that day. It was a beautiful day. Look how clear the sky is. But in the summer, like I said, guys, overnight is the best time to fish the flats out there at nighttime. Fishing overnight, you will see you will do well, because in the daytime when it gets hot, they will be in the flats, but they'll either be laying low in the grass, or they will be in the drop-offs around the small drops, or off of the drop-offs along the channel's edge to try to stay cool. And when the sun goes down, they're going to come back out and go back up into the flats to feed. So here we are at Talmay Park, going back into the dock. I guess we can cover a little bit of dock etiquette here. I had one guy one time get his panties all in a knot when I pulled up there. I was looking for the video because my camera was still running. I haven't been able to find it, but this happened a while back. There was a man and a woman. They were cleaning their fish at the fish cutting station there on the left, and they had their boat right there next to the fish cutting station, you know, at the courtesy dock side. So as I pull up, I'm pulling into that left side boat slip, and as I'm pulling in there, he sees me and he walks off, and she's still standing there cleaning the fish. And then I shut my boat off and I start tying it off, and then the lady tells me, she says, are you really going to do that? And I said, do what? She said, you're going to take our spot. I'm like, what do you mean take your spot? You're cleaning your fish. She says, yeah, but we were here first. I said, yes, but you're cleaning your fish. You're using the the fish cleaning station. You're not pulling your boat out. You just give me another five minutes and I'll be gone. I'm going to go get my truck right now and back in here and winch it up on there, and I'll be out of here, and you guys can have it. And then next thing I know, he pulls his truck in and tries to back into the lane where I already got the boat in. And then he gets out and he comes running up to me and tries to get in my face and starts cussing at me and this and this. And I'm thinking, man, what kind of attitude is that? You know, that here you are fishing. You come out for a day of tranquility, peace, and enjoy yourself on the bay. And then to lose your happiness over something that you think that you have first rights on. Like you see this guy right here? You see him how he's at the dock? Okay, they were tied to the dock just like that, but they were at that fish cutting station there, and they were cleaning their fish. And so I just come in and I park just like as we're doing here, except we're going to go to the left because I see this guy's already getting his truck. So I know this guy's going to use the right one because the guy is already moving his truck over there. So I see that. So we're going to go to the, I mean, he's using the left one. We're going to go to the right because I already know that this guy's going to use it. But they were both standing there cleaning the fish when I pulled and docked in there. And then that's when he walked off. He could have said something right there. You know what I mean? When he turned to walk down the ramp to go up to his vehicle, he could have said something to me, but he didn't say anything. His wife was the one that mentioned it, you know, and then he got his truck and started backing down the dock, and then he blew a gasket. He jumped out and he came down there and he started trying to get in my face about it. And, you know, I kept my cool, you know, because I was in a good spot. I'd been out all day, caught fish, everything. I was feeling good, and I wasn't going to lose my happiness over something like that. And I just reiterated to him, I said, you were cleaning your fish. You know, all you had to do is take your boat out first and then come back and clean your fish. So you didn't have the right of way to the dock. I'm ready to pull out. You know, I'm not here cleaning my fish. I clean them at the house. So I'm just trying to say is just kind of be aware. It's a public boat ramp. It's for everybody to use. That's the only issue I've ever had at Talmay Generally, everybody's really nice and good, you know. But you see how I already knew this guy was already getting his truck. You see his truck there? So I didn't even try to go in there because you saw how far over he was. But I already knew that they were, because I could see it as I was pulling up. The guy was already over there getting his truck. So we're going to use the other side. For some reason, a lot of people stick to that left side. I don't know why. They like that one side. They don't like this other side. I don't know what that has to do with it. I mean, the dock's the same on either side to pull the boat out. But he just kind of lost his composure. And I just thought, you know, I mean, why ruin your day? You've been out there. They caught a lot of fish too. They had like trout, they had reds, they had drum. They were cleaning a bunch of fish there, and they were still cleaning fish when I pulled up. And that's when he wanted to run and go get his truck, because I guess he wanted to cut me off at the pass. But I was already in the chute, you know. So he had to use the side that I'm on now. He started cussing at me and yelling at me, and then I guess his wife pointed that she could see the camera on the back of my boat, because it was right there. I was just standing on the dock next to my boat, and it was recording everything. That, hey, you know, shut up, baby. You know, let's get out of here, because he's going to call the park ranger or something on us, man. And like I say, it wasn't my part as being poor etiquette. If you're going to use the fish filleting station, then you're using the fish filleting station, and you have to wait. Whoever comes up has the priority, you know. That's the, you know. But if you're not, and there's somebody already there, then of course, yeah, you park up to them next to them, the courtesy dock. You let them pull out first, and then you come in right behind them. But it wasn't a busy day. It was just like it was here. He was the only one there, man. There wasn't anybody else at the dock, and the other lane was open. But boy, he threw a big gasket. Like, he had to have that one, that one that was his, that lane. He couldn't use the other lane. He had to use that lane, you know. But like I say, just be safe. That's the first encounter that I've ever had doing that with somebody. Generally, people are really courteous and you know, taking their turns using the ramp. But I just wanted to point that out. That happened to me here, you know, a while back. On that, is the first person I'd ever met down there that was just really upset about it. And they kind of made it seem like, because they were Hispanic, that I was being racist. Because they were throwing that out there too. Why? Because you're white. That's what they were telling me. You think you have the right to this because you're white. And I was like, no, it's not because I'm white. It's because you were cleaning your fish. You weren't pulling your boat out. If you wanted to use the ramp, you should have just pulled your boat out first and then clean your fish. The only reason why I pulled into the ramp was because you weren't using it. You were tied off and you were standing there cleaning your fish, and then as soon as you saw me tie off to the ramp, you didn't say anything to me. You ran and got your truck. It has nothing to do with race, but a lot of people like pulling the race card, man. But then they noticed I was recording, and then that's when they cut everything off, and they you know, I'd forgotten that the camera was still on the back of the boat. But the lady noticed it. She could see the light flashing, the red light on the GoPro camera, and then that's when she told, "Hey, babe, you quiet. Come on, let's go. Just use the other dock and let's go." But he was really, really, I mean, really, wow, upset. I mean, upset. But to each his own, I guess, man. I'm always courteous, guys. You know, I'm in no big hurry to pull out. When I go out there, I'm seizing the day and I'm just taking my time. Now, here we are. So we're all loaded up. So we're going to have to cut it off here. One of these days, Rusty and me will see you guys out drift fishing on the lower Laguna Madre. Y'all have a good day.